Hey, what's going on, guys? JTK here. Welcome on back to another comparison video. In this one today, we're going to be switching it up a bit. We did the worst maps, we did the best maps. Now we're going to be doing the two most popular, well-known maps that casual players and hardcore players both adore to some extent. This is going to be the comparison between Kino, Toten, and Riese. Now, for those of you who are new to this series that I kind of started, this is just going to be comparing Kino and Riese, and in the end, just kind of figuring out which of these maps is the best overall. And we're going to run through 5 criteria like we normally do. Those 5 criteria are going to be map layout, Easter eggs, weapons, replayability, and the mini bosses. Now, for those of you who have watched these videos before, obviously you will know how this works. We're going to be putting them through each of these criteria and be given a point for each criteria that they are best at. And towards the end, we will determine which map overall is the best. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Now, starting off with our first category, this is going to be going to the map layout. Now, the map layout on Kino Toten is very solid. I never really have a problem with the way that the map flows on Kino Toten. Always seems very reliable, especially to the casual player. It's just one giant loop you can constantly go around in, and usually the left side you don't really go to, but the right side, everyone kind of knows what that looks like. Everybody knows about the stage as well. Very good spot to go there and train. There's also a really good camping spot there too. I don't really like it that much compared to some that are on Riese, which we'll get to in a minute, but there is still really good camping spots on Kino as well. Now, with Kino Toten, I do really like the way that they implement in these little map areas that you can look at across the map. You can tell where the box is, you can look at what kind of area you're in, you can look at the names and whatnot. All of that's really helpful, especially to the new player where they can't see the mystery box light unless they go outside. Very helpful to have those maps around the place. So for that, I do think that the Kino Toten map layout is actually very solid. Riese, on the other hand, has a very solid map layout as well. I do find it very easy to go around the map on Riese. It's very simple because they have like 3 different areas that you can go to where you turn on these teleporters. You link them up to the middle, and then there's your pack-a-punch. It's also very easy to turn on the power. You only need to open like 3 doors usually, and then you can get to the power really quickly. And for that, I do really like the way that Riese flows and works throughout the entire map. I do kind of don't like it that much compared to Kino. Granted, there isn't really like a map area that you can look at on Riese as compared to Kino Toten, where it kind of shows you exactly where you are in a way. And I do like Kino's map layout a little bit more with the whole loop that you can go around through and whatnot. Just my personal opinion with that. It is a little bit easier to turn on the pack-a-punch on Kino as well, but it's honestly not too much of a difference. Like, you're just hitting 3 pads on one map, and then on the other map, it's just 1 pad. So it's a little bit easier on Kino. So for that, I do really think both of these map layouts are very solid, especially for casual players' first time playing zombies. But I'm going to have to give the point for this one to Kino, just because I do like it a little bit more. Now, moving into our next category, this is going to be going to the mini bosses. Now, the mini bosses on Kino are very bad. It's one of my least favorite things about Kino, kind of why I don't really come back to play the map as often as other people do. Alongside with 5, Kino Toten brought the Nova Crawlers, and the Nova Crawlers are honestly some of my least favorite mini bosses in all of zombies. You kill them with anything that's not a ray gun or a thunder gun, and they just leave a giant smoke screen around, which just blinds you. It can be very annoying, and I find it annoying when I train as well. They move slower than zombies, especially when you get into the later rounds, and it could just be annoying to try and train with them, especially if you're using the stage strategy where you just train them around. It can be annoying to try and jump over them or to walk over them. They just get in the way most of the time. They don't really add much to zombies either. They've been reused in almost every single map, and every single map that they're on, I just hate them. Don't really like them at all. So for that, I don't really like the mini bosses on Kino. You do also have the Hellhounds, but I mean, they're just Hellhounds, so not much to them with that. Now, Riese, on the other hand, has a very similar situation to Kino Toten, where it's just the Hellhounds. Now, the Hellhounds on Riese are a lot harder to kill. I will give them that. They are a little bit more difficult to handle compared to the ones on Kino Toten. That's just because on World at War, the Hellhounds have a lot more health. They're a lot more glitchier and buggier. Sometimes they'll just jump right behind you or phase right through you. The thing is, though, is that you can never really get mad with Hellhounds. They're just kind of there as like a freebie round where you can just get a max ammo right away, refill all your guns, and then jump back into the normal zombie loop. It's just kind of a breath of fresh air, especially on Riese. That's kind of what it feels like for me, at least. I don't really have much of a problem with the ones on Riese. Granted, they are a little bit stronger and a little bit more annoying than the ones on Kino, But since Kino does have the Nova Crawlers, I can say without a doubt that the Riese mini bosses are a lot better and will be getting the point for this category. Now, moving into our next category, this is going to be the weapons. Now, the weapons on Kino are pretty much just the base Black Ops 1 weapons that you get with the game, because it is just the standard disc. Like, you have the Commando, the RPK, all just the normal weapons that you get with Black Ops 1. So for that, I really can't put it much high on the list because of those, because obviously Black Ops 1 weapons do have an issue of just being really low with the ammo. The only guns that I do really use whenever I do play through Black Ops 1 zombie maps are the LMGs, because they're the only weapons that are like updated with all the ammo that are needed for a zombies map. But besides that, we're just going to be doing the wonder weapons as well, and the wonder weapons on Kino are very, very solid. You do have the Thunder Gun, which obviously is one of, if not the most iconic wonder weapons of all time. It's a very, very good weapon if you're just a new starting player. It can be really useful to have, can take out hordes of zombies, can keep you safe, which is like the number one important thing about the Thunder Gun. Overall, I would say that the weapons on Kino Toten are very, very solid, but the wonder weapon, that being the Thunder Gun, is what's going to carry it to that good tier in my opinion. Now, Riese, on the other hand, has some very, very good weapons as well. You do have some really, really neat ones, especially in the SMG categories like the Thompson, the PPSH, and then some good LMGs as well, like the MG42 and the Browning. The base weapons on Riese, I would say, are probably some of the best in all of World at War. You do also have the introduction of the Monkey Bomb on this map as well. Very, very nice addition to zombies in general. I would definitely rank it up there in terms of that. But overall, though, you do also have a very, very solid wonder weapon like the Wonder Waff. But the Wonder Waff on this World at War version, they had to like completely mess up on Riese specifically for some reason. And every time you shoot it at zombies and you're like standing near them, then it can electrocute you and then it removes your jug for some reason. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if it's a glitch. Regardless, it can be very, very annoying to go through that hassle as a new player where you just get the wonder weapon out of the mystery box and then you just lose your jug after shooting one bullet with it. That's just like very, very tragic to have. And overall, I think just for that glitch by itself, I would have to say that Riese is going to be on the losing end of this one. So I'm going to be giving the points for weapons to Kino Toten for this category. Now, moving into our next category, this is going to be the Easter eggs. Now, the Easter eggs on both Kino Toten and Riese are very, very primitive compared to the ones that we have today, like the Rise and Dragon Origins and Shadows of Evil. Those maps are very, very complex and advanced in terms of Easter eggs, but back in the day, Riese and Kino, those two maps specifically, they had very, very simple Easter eggs that weren't too complex. Now, with the Kino Easter egg, you do have the kind of music Easter egg. I know there's one on Zombie Chronicles as well, but we're just doing the base game, the Black Ops 1 version. There's only one Easter egg really, and that's holding X on 2 rocks, and then it plays a little music Easter egg. It's a fire song, I like it, but not really that good. I wouldn't say it's up there in terms of Easter eggs, especially for those kind of old maps that have those kind of Easter eggs. I wouldn't really say it's that good. Now, Riese, on the other hand, I would say has a very, very solid Easter egg. It's the Flytrap Easter egg. Everyone kind of knows what it is. You shoot this one panel that's out in the distance with the Pack-a-Punch weapon, and then these objects fly in the air, and then it's your job to go throughout the map and shoot them wherever they're at. It's a very, very fun Easter egg. I do like it, and I do think it is better than Kino's in terms of just gameplay as well, and it does give you a little bit of an Easter egg song at the end. I think I'm going to give Riese the point for this one, because if you think about it, this Flytrap Easter egg is so iconic and so kind of easy for the new player to get attached to that they had to add it back into the Giant, and you have to complete that Flytrap Easter egg on the Giant in Black Ops 3 in order to get the Annihilator, which is a much better reward compared to the Easter eggs on Kino, and is a lot better in terms of just the way that the Easter egg works as well. So for that, I do think that Riese is going to be getting the point for this one. Now, for this last category, it's a bit of a tricky one. It's going to be replayability. Now, with this one, it's very, very hard to decide which map is more replayable, because they're both just casual maps that you play from time to time. They're not really something that you constantly go back to, especially in terms of like Easter eggs. It's not something you constantly go back to do an Easter egg for. It's kind of just like, which map are you feeling to play today? And with Kino Toten, it's very easy to get into, like I said, especially for new players. It's a very, very friendly map layout. You also do have a very, very new player friendly wonder weapon, that being the Thunder Gun. And for that, I do really appreciate it. But I would say long term, I don't really get the hype for it because I do find myself getting really annoyed with the Nova Crawlers and just anything else on that map as well. I just don't really like it in terms of just constantly coming back and playing Kino or Toten. Riese, on the other hand, has some very solid replayability as well. I do find myself constantly going back to play some more Riese because it's just a lot of fun, especially with friends, especially if you're just camping on the catwalk. That can be a really fun time to have with friends as well. I just find myself to be more into the map layouts with Riese compared to Kino or Toten. I do like the weapons a lot more. The base weapons I do like a lot more, not so much the wonder weapon because of that one glitch with the wonder waff. I don't really like that as much, but overall I would say that Riese does have more replayability value for me, at least. That's just my opinion with it. Obviously, people who grew up with Black Ops 1 are gonna probably say that Kino is more replayable because they just play nothing but Kino, or if you're like a super casual, maybe your favorite map is also Kino and you constantly come back to play it. But for me personally, I do find a lot more replayability value for Riese, and for that, I do think it deserves the point for this category. Now, counting up the total score, as you can see on screen right now, we have 3 points for Riese and then 2 points for Kino or Toten. Now, overall, I would say that Riese is definitely the better map for me, in my opinion. Obviously, I know a lot of people out there are probably going to disagree with this list. They're probably going to think Kino is probably their best. For me, I played a lot of Kino back in the day. I didn't really like it too much. I didn't really get the hype. I think it was just because it was probably the best map to play back in the day for that time, during Black Ops 1 and all that. But for me personally, I don't really find too much enjoyment with it. But hey, that's just my opinion. Anyways, guys, if you did enjoy, definitely leave a like, subscribe, do all that. You already know what to do. Leave your comments down below if you want to see me do any other types of videos. Go down in the description as well. Check out the Comfy Cushion podcast. Check out Lucian's TikTok. Check out Joseph's TikTok. And yeah, I got nothing much else to say. So, peace.